food tourism in Canada.
Right, because we're looking at some pretty heavy internal strategies today.
Yeah, we've got documents from the Tourism Industry Association of Canada, which goes by TIAC, alongside white papers from the Culinary Tourism Alliance.
And that really revealing audit note, too.
Yes, exactly. That audit note about a brand new digital sustainability partnership. We're going to look at how what you eat on your travels is actively driving local economies and, well, protecting the environment.
What's fascinating here is how deliberately this entire ecosystem is being orchestrated. I mean, we are not looking at a loose, accidental collection of good restaurants.
No.
The Culinary Tourism Alliance, they're a not-for-profit that's been operating since 2006. They've fundamentally redefined the parameters of the industry.
They don't just point tourists to nice patios, right?
Exactly. They have explicitly defined food tourism as any traveled experience where a person learns about or consumes food and drink that reflects the history, heritage, and culture of a place.
I love that definition. It transforms a passive consumer into like an active participant in a regional supply chain.
It really does. It makes the meal the user interface for a massive economic operating system.
The user interface, that's a great way to put it. And the architects of that system are about to gather to write the next update, basically.
Yes, the upcoming summit.
Right. The sources highlight the 2026 Taste a Place Summit. It's happening real soon, June 15th and 16th in Edmonton, Alberta.
And that summit is a critical convergence point. I mean, it stands as Canada's only culinary and agritourism conference.
Hosted by the CTA, right?
Correct. And you have destination leaders, executive chefs, agricultural producers, and national marketers, all of them stepping away from their daily operations.
To do what exactly? Just network.
Well, the sources say they engage in immersive learning journeys and mainstage programming specifically designed to figure out how to scale this entire sector up. The underlying reality is that food tourism dictates the survival of entire regional economies.
Really? Entire economies.
Yeah. The TIAC documents in our sources prove this by detailing their massive advocacy efforts at the federal level.
Oh, wow.
They are not printing glossy travel brochures, They are handling complex international trade disputes.
Wait, trade disputes? Like what?
We are talking about cross-border trade negotiations, international export development, and U.S. tariff appeals.
See, that is the part that completely stopped me in my tracks when I was reading the source material.
It's surprising, isn't it?
It's wild. How do international tariffs connect to a local farm-to-table dinner? Can you walk me through the actual mechanics of that?
Sure, yeah. Let's consider the supply chain of a regional wine region. Let's say a local vineyard has spent years developing a distinct, globally recognized vintage.
Okay, tracking with you.
That vintage draws international tourists, right? Which fills up local hotels and creates secondary revenue for all the surrounding businesses.
Makes sense.
But if a sudden U.S. tariff is slapped on the imported glass bottles, or say the specialized aluminum vats that the vineyard requires for production, their bottling process just halts.
Oh, I see where this is going.
Right. The tasting room can't operate at capacity. The international tourists cancel their trips. The local bed and breakfasts empty out. And suddenly the regional tax base just plummets.
Wow. So it's a domino effect.
Exactly. So TIAC steps in to fight those tariff battles at the highest levels of government. Because protecting the operational tools of that one vineyard is the only way to protect the entire downstream tourism economy.
So the chef and the farmer are effectively economic players on an international board.
They really are.
But, I mean, recognizing that importance is one thing. Actually building the infrastructure to support it is another entirely.
Oh, absolutely.
Like a small family-run orchard might make the best cider in the province, but they don't necessarily know how to handle global marketing or international trade compliance.
And that gap between local authenticity and global operational standards is exactly what the government is trying to close right now.
Which brings us to the National Action Plan.
Yes. The launch of Canada's first ever National Culinary and Agritourism Action Plan, which rolled out on July 18th, 2025.
Right. And the explicit mandate of this blueprint is to scale up food tourism from coast to coast to coast.
Which is a massive undertaking. Because if a region is going to market itself as a global food destination, it desperately needs a localized workforce trained in international hospitality standards.
Right. And advanced supply chain management and digital marketing.
Yeah. Norquest is essentially building the human capital required to sustain the physical infrastructure.
Okay, so we have the Federal Trade Protection, the National Strategic Blueprint, and the academic training for the workforce.
It's a lot of moving parts.
It is. But let's look at this from the perspective of the traveler for a second.
Okay.
If you are listening to this right now and you decide to book a culinary tour in Ontario, how do you actually know you are getting the real deal?
The authenticity question.
Yeah. Because if a region has all this strategy and money pouring in, the temptation to fake it must be massive.
It is. And the integrity of the entire system relies entirely on verifiable proof,
Yeah.
which is why the Culinary Tourism Alliance developed the FEASON certification.
Feast up.
Yeah, it is North America's largest and longest-running local food certification program. It was built specifically to champion and protect Ontario's local food system.
And the sources provide a detail about Feast on that. That is genuinely wild to me.
Oh, the Legislative Assembly.
Yes. In October 2025, the Legislative Assembly of Ontario actually achieved Feast on certification.
It's a big deal.
The cafeteria inside the seat of the provincial government underwent the audit and got certified. That's crazy.
Well, showcasing a commitment to Ontario-grown food within the halls of provincial power is a massive political endorsement of the program.
I guess so, yeah.
It sends a very clear message to the hospitality sector that local sourcing is a non-negotiable standard.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though. But also, I'm a bit skeptical.
Okay, hit me.
A government assembly getting certified is undeniably phenomenal PR, but as a consumer, I am deeply skeptical of labels.
That's fair.
How do we know these certified places are actually doing the hard work of sustainability? The industry is notorious for greenwashing.
Absolutely.
It is incredibly easy to just slap the word local or eco-friendly on a menu next to a frozen imported product just to justify a 20% price markup.
And greenwashing is the ultimate threat to the concept of food tourism. If the auditing process isn't rigorous and transparent, the Feast on badge loses all its value instantly.
Exactly. So how do they stop that?
This is where that internal audit note from our sources becomes the most critical piece of the puzzle.
Right, the meeting notes.
Yeah, the notes detail a strategic meeting between Rebecca McKenzie, she's the president and CEO of the Culinary Tourism Alliance, and Ben and Toby.
From a company called Better Table, right?
Correct.
They're looking at pairing the traditional Feast on certification with a platform called BonAppify.
BonAppify, yeah. It's a free food sustainability auditing application that works on both mobile and web.
Okay.
And this technology is the mechanical answer to your skepticism about greenwashing.
So they're essentially digitizing the accountability.
Exactly. And more importantly, it provides the traveler with empirical evidence that their money is funding sustainable practices, not just clever marketing copy.
That level of transparency is vital. I mean, it really is.
It's the only way the system survives.
But I want to pivot here for a second because data tracking, digital invoices, and national economic blueprints are ultimately, well, a bit cold.
True.
We can measure food waste to the GAM, but data means absolutely nothing if the food itself lacks a vital human story.
I agree completely.
You can have a perfectly sustainable, locally sourced meal, but if the cultural narrative being sold with it is fabricated or, worse, exploitative, the entire premise of food tourism just collapses.
You're right. The infrastructure we've discussed, the READI programs, the BonAppify audits, those are just the framework.
Right.
The soul of the industry and its ultimate purpose is found in whose stories are being told and who actually profits from the telling. Food is arguably our most universal language. It lowers defenses and invites immediate shared understanding.
I see. So by funding youth entrepreneurship and centering Indigenous celebrations, the CTA is utilizing their massive logistical network to provide a platform rather than just shining a spotlight.
Exactly. It gives marginalized voices the capital, the marketing reach, and the operational training to reclaim their own historical narratives.
Wow.
They get to define their culture on their own terms at their own tables while directly capturing the economic benefits of the tourism sector.
That's incredibly powerful.
It is. The shared human experience of breaking bread basically becomes a vehicle for genuine equity.
It really all comes back to that Trojan horse concept we started with.
Full circle.
Yeah. For you listening, the implications of this are massive the next time you travel.
Absolutely.
When you decide to skip the international fast food chain and book a table at a certified local venue, you are not just a tourist looking for a quick bite.
No, you're doing much more than that.
By engaging with these intentional spaces, you are actively participating in a vast invisible network. You are generating the data that drives sustainability through platforms like BonAppify.
Right. I would actually leave you with one final thought to consider as you digest all of this.
Oh, please do.
We have seen very clearly in recent years just how fragile global supply chains actually are, right?
Oh, definitely.
When international shipping halts or a border closes, grocery store shelves in major cities empty out in a matter of days.
Yeah, it's terrifying.
So consider the possibility that the ultimate legacy of programs like Feast On and the Culinary Tourism Alliance isn't just about providing better, more educational vacations.
What else could it be?
What if the real endgame here is the creation of hyper-local, completely decentralized food ecosystems?
Oh, wow.
By forcing local restaurants to buy from local farms and training local workers to sustain that network, we might be building agricultural infrastructures that are so deeply resilient they could actually be what saves our cities during the next global supply chain crisis.
That is, wow. So we move from an Instagram photo of an expensive meal to the literal survival of our urban centers in a crisis. Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the true taste of place. We'll catch you on the next one.